Finding a career that fits. Choosing a career when everything feels shaky. Welcome back to Wild Rose Pages and listen to Rosie. Come on in, settle in. Today, I want to talk honestly about something that's been taking up most of my year. Trying to find out a career that actually fits me. Not something that just pays the bills, but something that actually feels like mine. Something that feels like I'm not just wasting my life away working. So yeah, it's kind of like a messy, real one, but I'm gonna talk about like my history with jobs, what I learned from a career coach, the awkward middle ground of like needing money while trying to build something new, and what I'm doing next. So if you've ever felt stuck between working to live and living to work, this episode I hope could be like helpful to you. My job history and the problem. Okay, so I've done a lot of different jobs. My first job was being an after-school mentor for the middle school, where I helped middle school kids with their homework and just doing like after-school activities with them. That was my first job. And then from there, well, that was in high school. So from there, after graduating, it was just kind of like I struggled with what to do after, because there's always that like pressure of just like get a job, get something that's steady, that's going to make money. And I did want to do cosmetology, but I just felt like it wasn't like, creative jobs aren't really encouraged in school. At least it wasn't at mine. And then I showed some interest into bookkeeping, and so my teacher really, really pushed that towards me. They were like, it's going to be really good for you. You're going to get a good job. And so I kind of like leaned towards that. But, I did jobs like being a busser at a restaurant, being a barista, working in retail. I was even a greenhouse worker. Then I was that office manager. I was still doing bookkeeping, and like, some of them I liked more than others, and none of them felt like a thing that called to me. I never stayed at a place longer than a year. And so, yeah, it's just been changing. Like my interest and energy has shifted. And, the longest I have been doing was bookkeeping. And I feel like I used to do bookkeeping because it was fueled by wanting to be helpful, maybe to prove something, but that motivation has faded like a lot. And when that fuel is now gone, the job turns into something that drained me hardcore. Like anytime I try to do bookkeeping, it just is such a drag. So yeah, I realized that part of the problem, or the problem is, for me personally, is that I feel like my life is constantly changing and I need the flexibility and variety. I really get restless and rigid schedules, and that's what makes that whole traditional 9 to 5 really hard to fit in my life. Maybe it works for other people and that's great, but for me, it just doesn't work. I found this career coach on TikTok, and at the time I had money to spend and I felt very confused, and I thought maybe a little extra guidance could help me. Like, she wasn't this like crazy, super popular TikToker. Her prices weren't crazy either. And I was like, okay, this could be something helpful. And I felt like I really connected to the way that she talked about things. It felt like it was more of my style, my vibe. And so I, booked a session to work with her. And we went through a lot of like questions and things that helped me realize it. It was like questions like, what task actually gave me energy? And I would have to like go through my week figuring this out, figuring out what drains me, what skills do I have, what skills do I want to carry forward into the next career, what kind of environment do I thrive in? And I think the 3 important things that I learned were it's okay to change jobs. People are growing and changing their work, and that's fine. And it kind of took me a while to like accept that, because I just really feel like I just want to find one thing and keep doing that. But, I realized I'm like, yeah, I would never be happy doing something like that. The second thing is that you can design a path in stages. There's short-term bridge jobs that support longer dreams. And you can build a compass that could help you decide if a job aligns with you. I did post the blog version of this, and I inserted a picture of my little career compass that I designed. It includes things like my top passions, my personality, my top values, my ideal personal life, my ideal work lifestyle, and what I'm willing to do for my career, what I find challenging, and what are my top strengths. And then, it came up with this like statement of what kind of job I want. And, I'll show it here. Let me pull it out. Because I feel like it's something that really aligns with me now. And after doing all that like work, this wasn't like done over a couple weeks. It was done over like 5 months of discovering more about myself and, realizing how much of myself really should go into this job kind of thing, at least for me personally, because that's how I function. Okay, this is later Rosie, because turns out that the second part of the recording that I recorded earlier, my mic died. And so I had to charge it, and here I am again recording. Also, if you hear any noise in the back, that's Poppy playing with her toys. Anyway, let's get back on topic. So, this is my, I don't know, what the career compass is guiding towards. So, what I want for my career is to create community spaces where I teach/share information about plants and nature through creative projects so that people can express themselves, be healthy, and feel peace. So that framework helped me, reframe things in my mind. With working with her, I was able to find my skills, the kind of job I want. She taught me some networking tips and more. And so instead of panic and shame, I'm starting to see this, like my path as a multi-layered, the jobs that pay the bills, jobs that build skills, and projects that could feed my soul. The messy truth: bridge jobs, side projects, and burnout. So right now I'm juggling 4 things. I like the idea of making content. I mean, I don't want to make it a full-time thing, but if it could bring extra money on the side, that would be great. And, that takes time too. So the blogs, the videos, the podcast episodes, the editing, and putting that all together. And on the other hand, I'm also working on my own business, that virtual assistant services that are aimed toward herbal wellness and creative brands. And then I'm also studying herbalism. So that comes with homework and classes to attend. And then obviously just working to keep bills paid, So I thought that a virtual assistant business could be like my main bridge job toward that life that I want. And I think it still could be, but starting an online business takes time. And while that grows, I still need income. And so that's where the bridge job for my bridge job comes in, which is reality. It's like frustrating, and it's a lot. It's like complex because everybody's situation is different. And I just find it so annoying to I want to pursue a passion, but there's just like, you need money for that, or you need money for this. And, also applying for jobs messes with my self-esteem. I'm just like comparing, and for me, I kind of feel like the job market sucks because I don't want to go back into a role that drains me. When I finally found this part-time job of an event coordinator that seemed very flexible and connected to my interests for planning and coordinating events, but the schedule became wild. There was like split shifts. There was really early morning shifts and late evening shifts. And it honestly stressed me out. I also, had to like make sure that my puppy Poppy was taken care of. And so it just stressed me out. It drained my energy. And, during that time I found myself wondering, I'm like, am I just being weak? Should I just suck it up and, deal with it? They trained me and like, or would quitting be the right move to protect my mental health and priorities? And spoiler, there aren't any neat answers. It's hard to figure it out. You don't want to go back into burnout. You don't want to go back into a stressful environment, but at the same time, they're like needs, and so it's really frustrating. You have to really think about your priorities. So, if you're in the same in between place, here are some practical things that, helped or like are helping me. Okay. Number 1, make a priority map. Write 3 things that you need to keep moving forward. It could be like money, or you're looking for skill building, or you need creative work. And then assign realistic time blocks to each. They could be small, but they should be consistent, because small wins keep you going. Number 2, treat bridge jobs as experiments. Decide, before you start, how long you'll try the role and what would make you leave. Whether it's like not enough like pay, or it's a schedule chaos, or no skill growth, or too much stress. Like, make that clear to you so that you're not sitting there wondering so much and worrying about it. And that's kind of where that career compass came in for me. And number 3, be honest with your energy. If a job schedule is consistently harming your mental health, it's okay to rethink. You could be grateful for what you've learned and, still move on. And number 4, ask for help. Tiny supports make a big difference. And that's kind of a hard one for me, because I find it hard to ask for help, but it really does matter. Like, sometimes in this world, it seems like you have to do everything on your own, especially in this kind of like career world. They make it seem like it's like this ladder that you have to climb up on your own. And I think that like where's the community? Where's that support? Like, we're kind of like all in this together. So we should be able to help each other out. I would definitely want to help people out. And so, it's not bad for me to also ask for that kind of support. Okay. I want to be gentle about this. If you're switching careers or trying to build something new while paying bills, you're not lazy. You're navigating complexity. The system asks us to pick one path, but people change. Our work can and should evolve with who we are. For me, the goal isn't to center my whole life around on a job. I want variety, I want creativity, and I want freedom, but I also want security. And that combination might feel a little like contradictory, but I think it's possible with, the small experiments, the bridge jobs that teach skills, and that long game approach to building an income from creative work. And, I'm saying this as a single 24-year-old who is currently living at home. That comes with its pros and cons. And I know that everyone's situation is different. And so maybe this career stuff that I'm talking about might not apply to you, but I hope in sharing my experience, it could help someone. So thank you for listening and being here with me while I figure this out. If you've been going through like a career pivot, I would love to hear what worked for you. Drop a comment, send me a DM, or even email me. Also, if you're curious about the virtual assistant work, or, like need help mapping something out for a creative business, like I could share what I'm learning. If this resonated with you, save this episode or post, share it with a friend who's also navigating job changes. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, be kind to your energy, be patient with the process, and remember you're allowed to change. Sending warmth from my little corner to yours. See you soon. Bye.